A powerful CEO can destroy a person with just a single word, but he never expected that very moment would end up destroying his own life. The music stopped. The crash of a chair being shoved back echoed like a gunshot through the room. "Who do you think you are, staining my table like that?" The shout froze every fork in midair. No one dared to move. All eyes turned toward the man at the VIP table. His tailored suit, the glinting watch on his wrist, he was the picture of power. But in those blazing eyes burned an arrogance so cruel it cut the air in two. In front of him, the waitress looked no bigger than a shadow. A splash of red wine stained her dress like a wound she couldn't hide. Her hand trembled, the silver tray tilting, nearly slipping from her grip. The atmosphere was suffocating. The manager cowered behind the bar, the guests held their breath. Only he kept roaring. "A failure like you doesn't deserve to work here. I'll have you fired tonight in front of everyone, so no one ever dares to disrespect me again." The words struck like a hammer. A few guests shook their heads. Others lifted their phones. The girl swallowed her tears, fighting to keep her voice from breaking. I'm truly sorry." A fragile apology. But instead of softening him, it only fueled his rage. The CEO slammed his palm on the table, the impact tilting his glass. Wine spilled again, carving a fresh red streak across the cloth. Close up, her eyes, wet, trembling. Yet somewhere within them a spark. Quiet, defiant, unnoticed by anyone. And just as it seemed she would collapse, a faint blue glow flickered from a phone quietly recording in the corner of the room. The chandeliers poured down golden light, scattering warm halos across tables draped in immaculate white linen. The soft clink of silverware against porcelain. The steady pour of wine into crystal glasses together, they wove a symphony of luxury. The air carried the unmistakable scent of privilege, the smokiness of prime cuts, seared to perfection, the oak of aged barrels, and the faint trace of expensive perfume lingering in the air. At the center sat the table reserved for the most powerful guests. Seated there was the man who had erupted moments earlier, CEO Victor Hale. The press called him the steel titan of finance. Every move he made could shake the markets. Yet with all that power came a temper so volatile, so arrogant, that few dared to meet his gaze. His black suit gleamed, his red tie struck like a blade, every gesture screaming a single message: "I am above everyone." And across from that world of dominance stood its fragile opposite, Anna the waitress, 23 years old. A face still soft with youth, yet her eyes carried the weight of responsibility far beyond her years. Her hair hastily tied, left strands clinging to the sweat on her cheek. Her uniform was faded, the hem fraying from endless washes. Her black shoes pinched her feet, the soles worn thin, yet each morning she polished them carefully, as if clinging to the last thread of dignity she had left. Anna didn't work here out of passion. She worked to buy medicine for her mother, once a nurse, now confined to bed by a merciless heart condition. Every shift, every tip meant more than money. It meant her mother's next breath. So she endured it all, the swollen feet after 10 hours of standing, the forced smiles for rude patrons, and even the sting of cruel voices barking down at her. Beyond the restaurant's glass windows, the city glittered. Towers scraped the sky, neon lights pulsed in rhythm with ambition. That world had nothing to do with Anna, a place where billion-dollar deals were brokered, where human worth was measured in cars and stocks. Anna was just a shadow moving between the cracks of that chasm, fighting only to survive. The camera lingers, her hand carrying the silver tray, thin fingers, taut veins rising beneath pale skin. On the tray, wine shimmered, its red glow washing over her face. A bead of sweat slipped down, merging with the sharp fragrance of alcohol. She drew a deep breath, swallowing her fear before stepping toward Victor's table. But it took only one slip, one small misstep, one accidental bump, and the fragile balance shattered. Victor Hale. The man the entire city feared had chosen her as his target. His roar thundered like a storm, tearing apart the gilded facade, dragging Anna into the unforgiving gaze of dozens of eyes. Close up. Anna's eyes rimmed with red, her trembling hands clinging to the tray, her breath short and jagged, trapped in her chest. Her heart pounded so violently it felt as though the entire silent room could hear it. And in that moment, the truth cut deeper than the humiliation itself. No one was on her side. The manager stayed silent. The patrons stayed silent. The bustling room had transformed into a courtroom. She stood as the accused, and Victor the ultimate judge. In that silence, injustice seeped in. And in that silence, something was born. This was no longer about a spilled glass of wine. This was the spark to ignite a storm, one that would not only consume Victor Hale, but force the entire world to take notice. The air inside the restaurant grew heavy, thick enough to choke. The once elegant sounds, the clink of silverware, the pour of wine, the piano's soft notes had all faded into a blur. Only Victor Hale's voice remained. Low, sharp, cold. "I told you already, there is no room for mistakes here." The polished table reflected his face distorted by the chandelier's glare. A tilted smile. Not joy. Amusement at the sight of prey trembling before him. Anna stood frozen. The silver tray in her hands weighed as if cast in stone. The dark red stain on her dress had already begun to dry, sealing itself into the fabric like a scar. She tried to breathe. Oak, seared meat, expensive perfume, and underneath it all the metallic tang of fear. The manager rushed forward, bowing so deeply his spine nearly folded in two. His voice came out in hushed fragments. "Mr. Hale, we deeply apologize for this incident. Please let me take care of it. Anna, go. Inside." Victor's glance cut through the air, one look heavy as a verdict. Inside to hide. "No. She will explain here, in front of everyone." The guests' eyes flickered. Some flushed with discomfort. Some pressed their lips tight. A few lifted their phones, angling them discreetly. The screen reflected Anna's pale face. A green recording light blinked mercilessly. I'm sorry," Anna whispered. Her voice cracked thin as a thread. Victor leaned forward, one hand pressing into the table. "Sorry is enough. Do you have any idea what that glass cost? Or do you think someone like me cares about your apology?" Anna swallowed hard. She thought of her mother, of the hospital bills that had doubled this month, of the fabric wallet fraying at the seams, of the little notebook tucked in her locker where she wrote down every single tip, each number etched in hope. She thought of her mother's hand, frail yet still stroking her hair, whenever she came home late. "It's okay, sweetheart," her mother always said. "It's okay." I'll pay for it," Anna said, a desperate reach. "Even if it takes time, I'll pay little by little." Victor laughed. The sound was sharp, bouncing off the table like pebbles on glass. "Pay? A month of your salary wouldn't cover this shirt I'm wearing, let alone the bottle of wine you spilled on the floor." The manager flailed, turning this way and that lost. He leaned toward Anna, whispering just for her. "Go to the break room, please. Let me apologize to him. Apologize to." Anna looked around. Eyes everywhere. Cold. Distant. Avoiding. No one touched her, yet she felt herself shoved back step by step, as if the floor itself had turned to ice beneath her feet. "How long have you worked here?" Victor asked. 2 years, Anna stammered. 2 years and still this clumsy. Or did you think this place was a training ground? Anna bit her lip until she tasted iron, a drop of blood at the corner of her mouth. She didn't wipe it. She didn't move. She couldn't give him another excuse. At the next table, a young woman held her phone higher. The red recording dot glowed like an unblinking eye. "Turn it off," a man whispered beside her. "What if—" "No," she replied, eyes fixed on the screen. "There has to be proof." In the far corner, an older couple exchanged looks. The wife's face twisted with unease. The husband shook his head. They didn't speak. They'd seen moments like this before. Collective silence, the cruelty of power, and the outrage that always came too late. Victor tapped his fingers against the table. Tok, tok, tok. Each strike rattled through the room like a chisel breaking stone. "Kneel." The air shattered like glass. Gasps broke out. The manager lurched forward. "Mr. Hale." "Sir, please." "I said she kneels and apologizes. Here. Before me. Before everyone." Inside Anna's chest, something snapped. Not her heart. Something else. A string stretched too tight, singing in protest. She saw her mother in her mind's eye, the iron bed frame, the thin blanket. The cracked window, bills tucked under a mirror. Her mother's voice. "Don't let anyone break your back, even if you must bow your head." Anna's knees buckled. Almost, but she caught herself. Her grip tightened on the silver tray until her knuckles turned white. A spark flickered in her eyes. Not defiance. Something smaller, fragile, but real. I'll apologize," Anna said. Her voice no longer shook, strangely calm. "But I will not kneel." Victor arched an eyebrow. A cold smile spread wider. "Good. Then you're fired." The manager exhaled like a drowning man surfacing. His gaze pleaded. "Please," he whispered. "Just let this go. We can't survive this storm." The storm. The word fell like a prophecy, but no one yet knew where it would come from. Victor gestured. 2 security guards emerged from the back, black suits, earpieces humming. They stood still, not advancing, but their presence drew a line. A boundary Anna couldn't cross without being utterly alone. "Take her out," Victor ordered. "And remember, be careful if you still want to work in this industry. I have many friends." Polite words. Gentle tone. But everyone in the room knew the weight hidden beneath. The networks. The phone calls. The blacklists. A single frown could erase a life. That was the game. And this city knew the game well. Anna drew a breath. She glanced at the wall clock. The minute hand had just ticked past 12. In only minutes, her entire life had unraveled. At the bar, Mia, her closest co-worker, shifted. She brushed Anna's hand quickly, a secret handshake. "A signal, I'm here." Then she pulled away afraid. Anna lowered the tray. The clang against marble rang sharp final. She straightened her apron. Reflex. One last act done properly, a fragment of dignity stubbornly intact. "I'm sorry for spilling the wine," she said, staring Victor in the eyes. "I'm sorry for disturbing everyone. I'm sorry I wasn't perfect enough for you, but I will not kneel." For a heartbeat, the room hollowed out. Victor stared, unblinking, as if he couldn't believe anyone dared place the word no before him. "Security," he said, each syllable clipped. "Escort her out, and call your senior manager. I'll deal with them directly." The manager's fingers trembled dialing, a frantic voice on the other end. "Get here now, and keep it quiet." Too late. The noise was already here. It stood in the center of the room, rolling, recording, capturing every frame. Near the window, a soft ping. The young woman filming received a notification. Storage almost full. Upload now. Her thumb slid without thought. Habit. One tap, a cloud, a connection. A story leaving the room before anyone realized it was gone. But no one here knew yet, Anna Mia whispered. "Come with me. To the back. Drink some water. You're shaking." "I'm fine," Anna said. She wasn't, but she had to say it or she'd collapse. The guards closed in, polite but firm. They didn't touch her. They didn't need to. They were the gate. The exit waited. The night outside. Victor sat back, signaling for new wine, new linens, a reset, as if scrubbing a stain from a white cloth. Everything clean, everything obedient. Anna paused, looked at the perfect rows of china, the disciplined formation of glasses. She remembered tonight was a double shift. She had promised her mother new medicine. She had done the math. It would have been enough. If nothing was docked, if she wasn't fired. "I need to get my things," Anna said. Victor waved. "Take her." The kitchen hallway was darker, onion butter knives chopping rhythmically. The cooks glanced up, questions in their eyes, but no words. They knew the rule. Don't get involved. One handed her a glass of water. She drank. It burned, going down. The break room's old locker groaned open. She pulled out her coat, her wallet, her little brown notebook. Her hand froze on the middle page, a neat list of expenses numbers lined carefully. At the bottom, one sentence: "Mom will get better." No period. Just a promise unfinished. Mia stood nearby, eyes rimmed red. "I'll talk to the manager. Maybe you can still come back tomorrow. You're good at this, Anna." Anna pressed her lips tight. She refused to cry here. Not in this air thick with grease onions and rusted lockers. If she cried, it would be outside where there was wind, where the sky still existed. The door creaked open. A guard nodded. No threat, just duty. They had their rules too. They had children, bills, lives to protect. In this city, empathy always waited outside the door while protocol sat at the best table. As Anna reached the back exit, a voice halted her. "Anna." The manager, a paper trembling in his hand. "Sign this. An incident report. Admit it was your fault, so the company can file it. And if I don't," he swallowed, "then it'll be harder for everyone. Everyone. Except her." She looked at the paper. The blank lines waiting to legitimize a trial that had never been recorded. If she signed, the story ended here. Small, neat, clean, invisible. "I won't sign," Anna said, quiet but clear. The manager closed his eyes, accepted the coming blow, folded the paper, tucked it away. Then, "Just go. I'm sorry." The back door swung open. Night air rushed in, carrying the scent of rain-soaked streets. The city roared on. Lights glared. Cars flowed, as if nothing had happened, as if storms and small lives were only whispers outside the script. Anna stepped out. Her legs felt lighter, freed from the stairs, but her heart weighed heavier. She pulled her coat tight, clutching the brown notebook to her chest. The only thing left reminding her she was still a person, not a mistake. Behind her, the restaurant door closed. Click. A simple sound. But it was the final syllable of a chapter. Inside, dinner continued. New wine uncorked. New linen spread. Victor Hale sliced into his steak like tearing through paper. Clean, effortless, without remorse. Outside, the young woman's phone buzzed. Upload complete. A simple alert. A link. A title hastily typed. A hashtag already forming. One tap. Post. Anna didn't know. Victor didn't know. No one inside that room knew. The storm had already left through the back door, silent, unseen, gathering clouds in the sky of the internet. And when the first thunder rolled, no one would have time to hide. The city night hadn't yet settled into silence when a spark ignited. That spark took the shape of a video less than a minute long. The footage was shaky, blurry, but the sound cut sharp as a blade, the crash of glass, the splash of wine, and Victor Hale's commanding, arrogant voice. "Kneel. Kneel and apologize right here." The shout ripped through phone screens. Within minutes, the clip escaped the circle of friends of the young woman who had filmed it. Social media's algorithm smelled blood, shoving it onto the main feed. The hashtag #StoryWithAnna appeared. First dozens of shares, then hundreds, then thousands. In a dim room, Anna sat beside her mother's hospital bed. Pale neon light flickered. The ceiling fan turned lazily overhead. She had no idea that her face was now on the screens of thousands, soon millions. Her mother slept, each breath strained. Anna held her small brown notebook, close, silent. Each vibration in her pocket startled her. A text from Mia Anna. "You're everywhere online." Anna didn't understand viral. She didn't want to be viral. She only wanted to keep her job, but social media doesn't ask permission. It sweeps you up. In a cafe just blocks away, a group of students huddled around a phone. Their eyes widened, their anger flaring. Who is this CEO Victor Hale? He was just in the news last week bragging about sponsoring a charity program. Charity. And this is how he treats people. In the comments section, words poured down like floodwaters. Unbelievable. Does he think he's a king? I was a waitress once. Only those who've done it know the pain. Find this girl. We need to help her. And then, buried in the sea of rage, one comment rose above all. I know this girl. She saved my son's life last year. The post came from a middle-aged woman, a real account with a photo of her smiling young boy attached. Her words shook with emotion, but they were steady. When my son collapsed in the park from an asthma attack, she was the one who ran to him, called 911, and stayed by his side until the ambulance arrived. Without her, I would have lost my child. And now she's humiliated over a spilled glass of wine. The internet roared. That comment was pinned, shared thousands of times in an hour. The media smelled the story. Headlines spread. Powerful CEO humiliates waitress, but she turns out to be a quiet hero. Viral video from fine dining to the heart of a community. The contrast was crystal clear, a ruthless man of power and a fragile girl who once saved a life. The public didn't need more details. They had chosen their side, and this time they chose Anna. In the hospital room, Anna glanced at her phone, her face splashed across the news. Her hands turned cold. She didn't know whether to feel fear or relief. Her mother slept on her breaths uneven. Anna looked down at her notebook, the shaky lines of careful notes. It had always been for her mother. Yet now the world was calling her name loudly, relentlessly. High above the city in a glass tower, Victor Hale glared at his monitor. The viral clip played back his contorted face, his every cruel word echoing. Beneath it, a flood of comments attacked his name. His company's stock tickers wavered, investors uneasy. His hand tightened on the chair's armrest, veins bulging. Idiotic sheep, he muttered, losing their minds over a stupid video. But he was wrong. This wasn't just a video. It was the spark to a wildfire. And wildfires don't die with a press statement. On news feeds everywhere. Justice. For Anna climbed to the top. People dug into her life, a young woman juggling 2 jobs to care for her sick mother, living in a cramped rental, smiling through endless shifts. The fragments stitched together into a symbol. A young reporter knocked on Anna's door. She opened it, stunned at the camera. His voice trembled. Anna, do you realize the whole world is talking about you? She hesitated, her eyes falling to the floor. I was just doing my job. I never wanted anyone to get hurt. That's all. But those simple words broadcast to millions brought tears. Comments flooded in. She's so humble. We have to fight for her. This isn't just Anna's story. It's the story of everyone who's ever been treated like they don't matter. The internet had found its hero. And the internet never stays silent when its hero is cornered. Anna still didn't understand why it had all gone this far. But deep down, she knew for the first time in a long time, she wasn't alone. The next morning, the city had yet to fully wake, but the glass tower of Hale Capital blazed like midday. The revolving doors spun endlessly. Streams of people poured inside. Not clients, reporters. Headlines flooded the newsstands. CEO orders employee to kneel in luxury restaurant. Silent hero waitress once saved a child's life. #Justice. For Anna explodes, Hale Capital stock wavers. 48th floor boardroom. Glass stretched from floor to ceiling, clouds smearing the skyline like ink. Victor stood at the end of the table, red tie, knotted tight, chin raised. In front of him sat the board of directors. 9 faces. Expressionless masks. It's just online outrage, Victor said flatly. 2 days and it's gone. I've hired PR. The CFO slid forward a stack of papers. Numbers hit the table like stones, funds. Withdrawn clients canceling contracts, credit tightened. One director tapped a pen, thud. 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 The rhythm of judgment. 3 institutional investors pulled out today, the CFO said. Legal counsel recommends you step back temporarily. Victor smirked, not with humor, with disdain. Step back and let the stock plummet. I am the pillar that keeps Hale Capital standing. Don't be fools. The door creaked open. The chief legal officer entered, placing a thick envelope on the table. There's more, she said, locking eyes with him, threatening emails to staff. Blacklist of restaurants marked "Do not rehire" sent from your office, and a recording. Silence. The tape played. Victor's voice cold as frost. I have friends everywhere. She won't work again. 2 words cut the air like blades. Blacklist. In the corporate world, it meant blood. Victor slammed his hand on the table. Mac lies, who dares? A security guard and a sous chef confirmed it, the counsel said. They're willing to testify. Another voice broke in, raspy, unfamiliar. Through the speaker, this is Mia, Anna's co-worker. That night, the manager forced her to sign a statement blaming herself. I kept a copy. Victor's face tightened. The veins on his neck bulged like ropes ready to snap. Mr. Hale, the board chair, said, voice low, we're convening under company bylaws. You are to step aside until the investigation concludes. Victor's eyes swept the table like a blade. Not one flinched. Not one smiled. Power turned its back in silence. He left the room, a long corridor, plush carpet, heavy footsteps sinking into mud. On the street below, a sea of protesters, handwritten signs, respect workers, we are Anna. The chant surged, stand with Anna. Stand with Anna. Cameras on ladders. A reporter spoke into the lens. We're live outside Hale Capital headquarters where hundreds have gathered. Wait, the crowd parted. A middle-aged woman held her son's hand, stepping forward. The boy's smile shone the same from the photo online. The mother took the mic. Her voice shook but carried. I wrote the comment. Last year, my son stopped breathing in the park. A stranger ran to us, Anna. She called 911, performed first aid, and never left our side until help arrived. No cameras, no applause. She did it because a child needed help. The noise stilled. Even the glass and steel seemed to listen. The mother held up a scratched asthma inhaler. This is what he carried that day. She cleaned it, pressed it into his hand, and said, it's okay, breathe, close your eyes, count to 10. She looked into the camera. Yesterday, that same girl was humiliated for spilling wine. Who are we if we stay silent? A wave rippled outward. Not shouts, breaths. As if the crowd itself inhaled together, taught by someone who wasn't there. Inside an independent newsroom. Editors cut footage into a feature when power believes it's untouchable. Quick cuts. Victor yelling, Neil. Anna clutching her brown notebook. The boy's story. The blacklist emails. The tempo surged. Music tense. Title flashed white. On black. Who will Neil? Neil. The video hit the web. 500,000 views in an hour. 1 million. 3. Comments exploded like fireworks underwater. Partner brands released statements, suspending collaboration with Hale Capital pending investigation. The stock line nosedived. In a studio, PR lights blazed. A teleprompter rolled. Mr. Hale, look at the camera. Say sorry 3 times. Stress we respect. The red light blinked. Victor began. I, Victor Hale, apologize. His eyes flickered. Just once. Enough. The internet froze. Frames zoomed in, dissected the arrogance in his gaze. His apology turned to ash. Outrage doubled. Outrage. Cut, the PR director said, pale. Do it again. No, Victor snapped, ripping off the mic. I won't apologize to a mob. I've given more to charity than they ever will. The lighting tech stopped, motionless, then switched off the lights. Darkness swallowed Victor. For the first time, he stood in a frame without light of his choosing. Board press conference, dark blue backdrop. The chairman at the podium. Due to serious ethical violations, we hereby suspend Victor Hale as CEO, appointing interim leadership during independent review. We commit to, the words trailed as the side door burst open. Victor stormed in. No script, no invitation. He ripped the mic from the chairman's hands. Security hesitated, torn between duty and history. This is a setup, Victor roared. You're selling out this company to a mob. The microphones trembled. A reporter's voice pierced the chaos. Mr. Hale, is that your voice on the blacklist recording? Silence. Not for lack of an answer. The question was too simple, too direct. Everyone had already heard. My lawyer will respond, Victor muttered. But no lawyer stood beside him. Main lobby. The elevator opened. Victor stepped out. Employees lined the hall. No one spoke. No one bowed. No one blocked his way. Only silence. A sharper blade than words. At the far wall, glass reflected him again and again. Dozens of Victors staring back. None stepping aside. The revolving doors ahead. Rain slashed sideways into his face. His tie whipped in the wind. The crowd hushed. No jeers, no violence, only hundreds of phones raised in unison, cold. Red recording lights, collective memory. Victor turned once. The lobby was empty. No one waited. Meanwhile, in a small apartment, Anna sat at her desk writing. Not a post. Not a speech. A letter. Brown cover. Careful strokes. Mom, I'll stay home a few days to care for you. Don't worry, I'm fine. There are so many people I don't know standing with me now. She paused, listening to the rain at the window. The smell of wet earth drifted in. Her mother stirred, smiling faintly. Are you okay, sweetheart? Anna clasped her hand. Cold, but inside her palm a flame. Small. Enough. I'm okay, Mom, she whispered. I'm not alone anymore. Her phone buzzed. A message from a workers' rights group. We're ready to provide free legal aid if you wish to sue for threats and blacklisting. Another from a scholarship fund. We'd like to invite you into our hospitality management program. A text from Mia. I quit. I'm coming over to help you take care of your mom. Anna lifted her head. The walls of her worn room seemed brighter. The bills hadn't vanished, but the road ahead no longer looked empty. That night, a new clip surfaced, grainy kitchen security footage. The manager shoving a paper at Anna, her trembling hands, her shake of the head. The hum of a vent fan underscored her voice. I won't sign. The video soared to the top trend. Comments thundered. Not signing is an act. A line drawn, a spine unbroken. This is the moment I cried. The crowd no longer demanded only punishment. They demanded standards, dignity, leadership, words heavy as stone. Board chair's office, dawn. A letter on the desk. Effective immediately, Victor Hale is removed as CEO. Ink seeped into the paper dark final. The chairman signed. He looked out over the city. The rain had thinned. The sky was a blank page. Tell the staff, he said. This morning's message, we clean house. Across town. Victor sat in his penthouse, lights off. Only the glow of his own downfall looping on screen. He reached for a bottle of wine. Stopped. Set it down. The same red as that night's stain. He scrolled through contacts. Powerful names, old allies. None called. The silence was winter on a still lake. He pressed his forehead to the glass. Cold. For the first time, cold touched him. Notifications blinked. Removed from advisory role. Cancelled as keynote speaker. Class action lawsuit filed for blacklisting. Some empires fall to war, others to a single no. His was the latter. Late morning. At the restaurant where it began, a new notice taped to the window. We apologize for not standing on the right side. From today, no forced kneeling, no coerced signatures, no blacklists. Below, every night shift worker had signed their shaky names proud. Mia stood on the curb showing Anna her phone. The wind tugged her coat. Passers-by stopped, snapped photos, nodded quietly. Not loud, just recognition between strangers. Anna faced the glass, her reflection blurring with the words. She touched the word apologize. Warm. Not from the glass, from sunlight. By evening. A panel discussion billed as a webinar turned into a live event. The moderator introduced topic: a culture of respect and service work. Labor leaders sat to the left. To the right, an empty chair, a placard, Victor Hale. He never arrived. The camera lingered. Silence carried weight. The moderator invited Anna to speak. She rose. No mic clipped to her blouse, no stylist, no script, just a person. I'm not perfect. I spilled a glass of wine. I apologized. But some things you cannot demand of another human being. No one deserves to kneel for a mistake. She paused, looked around. I hope you servers, cashiers, drivers, nurses, guards. If someone ever tells you to kneel, remember there are people out there who will stand with you. The hall erupted in applause. Not blind applause. The applause of people who had once bowed for survival, now lifting their heads to see each other. Somewhere a camera recorded. A red light. A stream. A cloud. Another story leaving the room, this time not to burn but to kindle. Late night. In his darkened penthouse, Victor opened his laptop. He typed one name, Anna. Articles flooded the screen. He stopped at a photo of her touching the restaurant window, her reflection merging with the word apologize. At the corner of her mouth, the faint crease of peace. He closed the laptop. The city lights no longer reflected in his glass. Night sank heavy. An empire fell silent. And across the city, a spine stood straight. The storm's final thunder faded, leaving only the steady sound that remained, people calling each other by one word: respect. The morning after the storm. The city felt reshaped by gentle hands. The sky was clearer. The breeze slipped through window frames, carrying the scent of wet leaves and early sunlight. In the small apartment, a window sat ajar. On the sill, a basil pot Anna had tended for months looked suddenly alive again, green and fresh as if it had never wilted. Her mother lay on her side, head resting on her arm, her breathing steadier, deeper than usual. Anna brewed tea. The water bloomed softly in the glass pot. Mint and ginger rose with the steam warm and comforting. She poured a cup and set it by the bed. Her mother opened her eyes, ringed with the shadows of years of illness, yet today softened strangely bright. "You came home late, but you came home safe," her mother said, a statement, not a question. Anna smiled, resting her hand on her mother's. The veins, the thin skin, the lingering chill, all familiar. But something inside her was different, steady. Not because the storm outside had ended, but because she felt sheltered now by countless unseen hands reaching out. Her phone buzzed. Messages lit the screen. "We've filed the lawsuit over the blacklist. You'll have free legal representation. We're awarding you a 12-month scholarship in hospitality management with living support. Bringing grain porridge this morning. Don't argue from Mia. And hundreds more from strangers proud of you. Because of you, I said no during my night shift yesterday. Thank you for not kneeling. Thank you for..." Anna opened her brown notebook. The old pages of numbers were still there, but now new words crowded the margins. Scholarship. Lawyer. Policy commitment from restaurant. Not magic, but bricks laid one by one, paving a road she had long walked barefoot. The door creaked. Mia peeked in, hair-tied high coat, still damp with rain. "Porridge delivery," she announced in a mock whisper, as though afraid to wake the whole world. They set the food on the table. The clink of spoons, small bursts of laughter. Ordinary sounds, yet this room hadn't heard them in a long time. Her mother ate half a bowl, color returning to her lips. Anna's eyes filled. Not because of the porridge. Because peace, however small, had finally sat at their table. Afternoon. Anna attended the restaurant's new signing ceremony. The glass door still bore the apology notice, but now beside it stood a wooden frame lined with cream fabric printed with 3 pledges. No employee shall ever be forced to kneel or apologize in a humiliating manner. No coerced admissions of fault, all incidents handled by training and systems. No acceptance or use of blacklists. At the bottom, one line: "We commit to respecting human dignity," and beneath the signatures of every night shift worker. Crooked scribbled, dotted with little hearts and smiles. Anna stood silent for a long time, then asked for a pen. She signed clearly. Beside her name, Mia drew a tiny heart. The manager, the same man who once pushed that paper at her, approached. His face seemed older in just days. He clasped his hands, bowed slightly. "I'm sorry. For being wrong," he rasped. "For choosing quiet instead of right. If you hadn't refused that night, maybe I'd never have seen who I really was." Anna met his eyes. No anger there, only a nod. "Thank you for fixing it," she said. Fixing. A small word, but heavy. Not erasing. Rebuilding from the ground up. A reporter raised a mic. Cameras clicked on, lights warming. But Anna held up a hand, asked for 2 minutes. She texted her mother, "I'm here. I'll be home soon." Then faced the lens. "I don't want to be the symbol of a storm," she said softly but clear. "I just want to be a worker treated with respect. If anyone sees themselves in my story, remember this. When you say no to humiliation, there will be others who say yes to standing with you." The camera zoomed in. Behind her, the board of pledges glowed faint in the late sun, the words shimmering like a quiet chorus. That night, the city hosted another kind of gathering. No chandeliers, no red wine, no ties. A community center where night shift workers met after hours, cooks, cashiers, drivers, nurses, guards. Each carried their own story. Each had once been told to kneel in silence, with forced signatures, with apologies demanded by the system. And that night they spoke. Steady. Clear. Anna sat in the second row, notebook in her lap. Not a keynote speaker, just someone listening. But when she was invited up, the room stood with her. Not to cheer, just to stand with the one who had refused to kneel. The applause was not thunderous. It was warm, full. "I used to think being strong meant never crying," Anna said, eyes glistening. "But strength, I've learned, is crying, and still standing, still moving forward, still choosing kindness toward those who hurt you. Because we don't win by making others lose. We win when we change how the game treats people." An older nurse nodded. A driver hid a smile under his cap. Mia snapped a photo, Anna lit by soft golden lamps framed by a wall covered in handwritten wishes. "To get enough rest. To be believed the first time I speak. No more blacklists. So ordinary it could break your heart." Back home, her mother sat by the window blanket over her knees. "Today feels like someone opened the window wider," she said, gazing at the night sky. Anna leaned against her shoulder, listening to her heartbeat. "I think people told each other something true today," Anna whispered. "And you did too," her mother smiled. "You lived it." They sat in long silence. The night breeze slipped through the curtains, swaying like a breath. On the table, the brown notebook lay open. Anna flipped to a blank page. In bold, steady strokes, she wrote, Respect is not a reward, it's the starting point. She set down the pen, picked up her phone. Not to check social media. To open a photo of the pledge board outside the restaurant, her reflection faint in the glass. She didn't look radiant, but she looked enduring. The kind of beauty you only gain by standing when everything else told you to fall, days later. Anna biked through the park. The boy she had once saved ran with a yellow paper kite. Seeing her, he dashed over, handing her a new inhaler, grinning ear to ear. "Keep this for me tonight. I'll take it back tomorrow. I want my luck to stay with you." Anna laughed, ruffling his hair. The kite danced above, slicing through sunlight, blurring into the sky. She realized some things we keep for one another never expire: a kind word, a smile, a small act that lets someone breathe easier on their hardest day. An email arrived. "Welcome, Anna." Attached a course schedule: leadership skills, fair systems, design psychological safety for staff. At the bottom, "We hope your story will guide our teaching, keeping it close to real life." She inhaled. Another blank page in her notebook waited for new words. Mia called, her voice chiming like a bell. "Guess what pasta night tonight, and the chef teaching us? Guess who?" "Who? Him?" Mia laughed. "The old manager. He asked to start over in the kitchen. Said if he wants to understand from the ground up, he has to wash dishes first." Anna blinked, then burst out laughing. Change had rippled further than she thought, carried in dishwater knives and long shifts of shared weariness and joy. Late night. The city fell quiet. Anna sat at her desk, small lamp glowing like a pale moon. She wrote for herself, and for whoever might stumble across her words someday. If one day you are told to kneel to reclaim your humanity, remember this. Humanity is not something you beg for. It is something you remind the world of. And when you stand tall, others will stand tall with you. She placed a final dot, a star on the page. Outside the window, dawn crept in. A thin ribbon of light traced the rooftop across the street. No fanfare. No fireworks. Just light doing its eternal work, arriving. Anna switched off the lamp, held her notebook close, rested her forehead against the cool glass, whispered to herself and to all who had walked with her through the storm. "Tomorrow I'll tell this story in another voice, the voice of someone who survived." She smiled. A smile as small as a raindrop, but enough to call forth a season. The music slows. Only the deep notes of a piano remain, each one falling like dew against a window pane. The camera drifts away from the small room where Anna sits, clutching her brown notebook to her chest. The frame fades, shifting to the city streets, people walking, cars passing, life carrying on. Yet somewhere quietly, something has changed. We've just witnessed a story about a young woman who dared to say no to power, about trembling hands that still held a straight back, about dignity, something no one has the right to take away, not even those who believe they stand above all. The camera pans across the pledge board outside the restaurant, covered in dozens of shaky signatures. Each mark unsteady, uneven, yet together they form something solid, unbreakable. What do you think? If you had been in that restaurant, would you have stayed silent or stood up? Have you ever felt yourself or someone you love being forced to kneel in some way at work or in life? And what did you do? The shot cuts to the boy's face as his yellow kite soars high into the sky. The narrator's voice continues, warm but firm. Maybe you have been Anna, or Mia, or the mother the child the worker overlooked. And maybe deep down you've longed for someone to tell you you are not alone. The camera zooms in on Anna's hands as she turns to a blank page in her notebook. Her pen writes, "Respect is the starting point." If today's story made you think differently about how we treat one another, leave a comment. Share your story. Because maybe, just maybe, your story could be the light someone else needs, someone standing on the edge being told to bow. The music swells gently, then softens. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because every click doesn't just keep a storytelling channel alive. It helps spread stories of dignity, of courage, so those still trembling out there will know they are not standing alone. The camera lingers on Anna's eyes, not dazzling, but steady, glowing like a lantern in the dark. And you, if tomorrow someone demanded you kneel, what would you do? Answer with your story below.